welcome to the OutSystems YouTube channel. My name is Rodrigo, and today I'm going to show you how you can add data to an agent using Agent Workbench. Last time Miguel showed you how to create an agent, but I don't know if you noticed, he didn't add any specific data. Melo actually noticed this and he put it on the comments. So in this video I'm going to show how you can achieve that. So let's jump in the application and get started. So here is the Amado's car rental application, and the first thing I'm going to do is to open it in Odyssey Studio. I'm going to go to the branches screen because what I want to do is when I click on a branch, I'm going to show a report about it. I'll start by just splitting the screen into several parts so that on the left I can have the list, and then when I click it, I'm going to show the result on the right side. So let's just remove those extra fields from the table and get useless information, and now we can create the variable that will hold whatever the agent will send us back. We'll add the default value to this variable, asking the user to click somewhere, and now we can just drag and drop that variable onto the screen and it will show that information to the user. Next, we need to take our link and we're going to create a client-side action that will simply assign to the report the value of the branch that we click. This way we can debug our action. So now we're ready to publish, we can have our application running, and if then we go to the branches screen and click one of the branches, we can see that the ID is shown. So now that we have the scaffold done, we need to create an agent that will use the OutSystems data to create a report. So let's do that. We start by going to Odyssey Studio and clicking the Create Application button. We choose App, and then we click the Agent option. We give it whatever name we want, and then I'm going to select the color blue because I think it's fitted for an agent. I'm going to choose the OpenAI model, and when I click Generate, it will create all the scaffolding code I need to have a proper AI agent. My agent is going to use the application's data, so now I'm going to create a reference to get the branch information, the car rentals information, and everything I need to feed my agent. I will then change the type of user input to be a branch ID, that's what I want to send to the agent. And for the session identifier, I'm going to use the current date time, which is kind of a fast way to just create the session every time I execute this. It's now time to edit the agent task because that's where the get grounding data function is. Now, the first thing I need to do is go to the agent task node and change the user input to a branch ID, just like I did for the user agent. Next, I'm going to go into the get grounding data node and I'm going to do the same with the input of this node. With this complete, I am going to now create a query to get all the rental information. So I'll just drag and drop the rental entity into my flow. And now in the aggregate, I can add also information about the branch and information also about the vehicle. I'm going to add the filter to make sure I only get the information from the branch ID I'm looking at, and our query is complete and ready to be used. Now, this is the result of an aggregate, and what we want in terms of grounding data is a text so that we can send it to the LLM. The right way to do this is to use the JSON serialized node, and we take the entire result from the query and we're going to send it as grounding data. With that prepared, we go back to the agent task and we're going to build our message. We can go here to the system message to set the tone of our agent. We can see that the grounding data is already prepared for us. And so the next thing we need to do is set the user input. And the prompt I'm going to use is just asking it based on this data to create a summary of rentals. We can now publish and we can start using our agent. The agent will be used from our car renting application. So the first thing we need to do is add a reference to that agent. So we'll go to the branch report and just select the service action that calls the agent. With that prepared, I can go to my on-click action and I'll just drag and drop the agent so that when I click on a branch, this action is called with the correct branch ID. I then assign the result of that report to the variable so that is displayed on screen, and I'm done. I'm going to publish the app. I can now access it using my browser, and if I click on the branches menu option, I can pick one of the branches and get information. So I click Seattle, and after about 10 seconds, I actually get an error message, which is not what we expected, of course. And the reason for this is that the timeout for client actions is 10 seconds. So I'm going to change this to give it a bit more time for the LLM to reply. But actually, after doing this and publishing, I'm still getting an error. The reason for this becomes obvious when I look at the ODC portal logs. So I can see here that I'm sending way too many tokens to the LLM because I'm sending all the rental information in one go. Now, there are two approaches I can use to solve this problem. One of them is to actually just select the columns of data that I want to send. And for that, what you can do is create a structure, add only the fields that you want, assign the data to that structure, and just convert that bit to JSON. The other, even simpler way is just to add a filter to your query. So for instance, in this case, I'm sending data all the way back to the year 2000, which is really not useful. So just by adding a filter and saying that we want information from the last 2 years, will heavily cut the number of rows I'm sending. So now I can just publish my application, and when I click Seattle, I get a summary of what's going on in terms of rentals in this specific branch. Now, the issue is that this information is returned in Markdown, and this is not the best way to see it. Fortunately, there is a component on the Forge that you can use. It's called Markdown Renderer, and it was created by our partners, Pebble Road. And so what you need to do is drag and drop their web block onto your screen. You change the output to go through the web block, and next just delete the old output, publish the application, and when you are ready, you click on the required branch, and it will give you an output in a beautiful formatted way. So in summary, we used Agent Workbench to create an agent that made use of OutSystems data to create a report with a different view on your data. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you learned something new. Thank you and see you again soon.